happy with that.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Cricket Show live from the Gabba here in Brisbane. We'll be with you each lunchtime right through this Ansett Australia Test Series. Well, to kick the show off, two captains will have a tough job during any Ashes series. Probably the toughest job is the England job, and Alex Stewart is the man that has that. He's got a lot to live up to. He's going to try and get back the Ashes. Can they do it? Tim Sheridan found out.
And please welcome the England captain, Alex Stewart.
I had 8 great years at Lilac Hill. People at Midland Guildford have helped me, and I feel very much part of that club. And to go back there to play for England, which I've done on 2 other occasions, was great. But to go back there as captain meant just that little bit more to me.
England's opening tour match was a triumphant homecoming for Alex Stewart. As a 19-year-old, he joined Perth's Midland Guildford club, playing as much cricket at Lilac Hill as he did at the Oval.
As soon as I turned professional back home at Surrey, I then had 8 consecutive English winters away playing club cricket here. And first of all, it taught me that the qualities you need to get to the top are very much apparent in grade cricket, where there's big competition for places. The fact you're only batting every other week, you've got to value your innings. And just the way the Australians play the game, which to be fair is similar to the way I'd played it anyway, but again it just underlined that fact, is that you've got to play it hard, play it fair and always be competitive. And if you do that, you've got a chance of being successful.
It's a beautiful shot, use of the feet for the half volley.
It's a glorious shot. When Stewart first came here as a test player at the start of this decade, he was a fluent stroke maker in a team coached by his father, former test opener Mickey. Under skippers Graham Gooch and then Michael Atherton, Alec patiently built a career of his own. What he saw taught him the first law of successful captaincy.
First of all, you want to have a good team. That obviously helps. You know, if we just look back, say, to the summer against South Africa when I took over, the spirit within the camp was excellent. We went 1-0 down in the second test match at Lord's and fought back tremendously well. And the belief within the side, as the series went on, became more and more apparent. And the more you win, the more it becomes a habit. And I'd always said that the Australians, for example, who I rate as the best side in the world, had learnt how to win. We're still learning how to win. Once we get that habit, then I believe we'll be a consistently good team. I mean, I don't like the word motivation, because if you need motivating to play for your country, then to me you shouldn't be playing. You know, just putting on the 3 lions, that should be enough as far as I'm concerned. But now I'm someone I'd like to be looked upon as a captain who's very open to ideas, and if a player, whether it's the most senior player in the team or the most junior player, has something to offer, he doesn't feel afraid to put his hand up and offer advice. And that's how I'm looking to do the job. And again, at the same time listening and learning all, in my job, which is still relatively new, but try and listen and learn from everyone.
Oh, that's a very dangerous thing, and he's gone. And so he should be. That's very, very ordinary batting.
In a way, Stewart's record parallels that of his team. He's among the highest scorers of test runs this year, but Australia remains a black spot. Shane Warne has Alex test wicket 9 times.
You average 47 against the rest of the world, but 27 against Australia in tests. Inside the Ashes series, is there a big personal goal for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd say let myself down. Against Australia, I haven't performed to the level I'd like to have done, and certainly haven't got a test 100 yet against Australia, which I'm fully aware of, and I'm sure the Australians are too. So I'm looking to put those figures right by the end of this series, and I'll be doing my best to do that.
And edged, yes, Alex Stewart's grabbed it. Once again, the extra bounce from Angus Fraser, and he's back.
Gloving 144 test catches, Alex Stewart lives the old saying that to get something done, the best way is to ask a busy person. He's played 36 straight seasons of cricket, but maybe none as important as the one that began this morning.
Well, all I say is, look, Australia, I say, and I will reiterate, are the best team. They've had the Ashes for 9, 10 years or whatever, and we're coming over here. We know we're underdogs, but if we play well and play at a consistent level, along the lines of what we did in the latter half of the series against South Africa, we'll be very competitive, and that's all we can ask for. And if we're competitive with the Australians, we can nick the series.
It's a tough summer ahead for the English captain, Alex Stewart. We'll be back with more Cricket Show after the break. Well, he's one of Australia's greatest captains. He's seen plenty of ups and downs during his career, and I could speak of no one else bar Mark Taylor. Today is a special day for Mark Taylor. He plays his 100th Test match, and Tim Gilbert spoke to him.
So, Mark, playing your 100th Test for Australia, what does that mean to you?
Oh, I think it's a special moment for anyone. It means that you've been around a long time. I've got through some tough periods. I've been able to weather them. I'm still playing now. I'm probably playing as well now as I've played for quite a while. So, delighted that I'm playing 100 Test matches and delighted it's against England here in Australia.
Do you think this will be the toughest series you've played against England? You've played a number of series against them, never lost. Do you think this will be the toughest?
Oh, I think everyone that goes on from now on until the Poms finally beat us will be the toughest one, because we've had the Ashes now for over 10 years. We're going to start favourites again, so every time, or the longer we hang on to the Ashes urn, the tougher it's going to become, because the Poms will keep trying harder and harder, and sooner or later I suppose we are going to lose the series somewhere on the line, so it's going to get tougher all the time.
What about the fact that there is no Shane Warne, no weapon that you can just basically call upon? He's had the wood on England. He's not in the side this time round.
It's certainly a blow for us, because he's such a world-class bowler, 316 Test wickets or something like that. He's been the sort of guy you can turn to on a regular basis to get you a big wicket, so not having him will certainly be a blow.
Well, let's wind the clock back to 18 months ago and make a comparison. How different is it captaining Australia now to when people were saying Mark Taylor shouldn't be captain of Australia, he shouldn't be in the side, but now with your 334, your good form and everything else, people are off your back?
It does make it a lot easier. My job is still to make sure the side plays as well as it can, or up to potential, but it does make it a lot easier that I haven't got to worry about whether I'm making runs, or whether people are saying I should be in the side or shouldn't be in the side. I'm answering less questions about myself these days, which is a nice thing. It's nice to be answering questions about the Australian cricket team, as the Australian cricket captain should.
How much tension were you going through on a personal level through all that?
Oh, quite a bit, I suppose, when I think back to it. It certainly wasn't a great time for me personally, although the side was playing quite well and I was getting a reasonable amount of pleasure from the fact that we were playing well and still winning series. But it was always the underlying current that, hey, the captain's not doing well, how long can we carry him for? It's about time this guy made some runs. Would the side be better without him? These sort of questions were going on and on. Those questions aren't around these days, and that's a lot easier situation for me.
On the subject of captains, what do you think of your opposite number?
I think Alex doing a very good job with England. One series, one win against South Africa last year when they came from behind. So obviously got a good feeling going within the side, and that's what you need. You definitely need it here in Australia. They're over here for 4 to 5 months. It's a long tour. You need a good feeling. You need a leader who's going forward all the time, and I think you'll give that to them.
Do you think you'll be playing this series as if, with the back of your mind, that this will be your last against England and Australia?
I don't think about those sort of things. That could well be my last series against England. I don't really know, but I don't think about those things when you're out there playing. You've got to try and keep it as just you against the bowler, or the bowler against you, whichever way you want to look at it. You can't think about, oh, well, maybe I might play next year, maybe I'll play in England in 2001. They're all too far off. The game's all about winning the moment and being better than the bowler at any given time.
You've always said that while you're playing good cricket, you won't consider retirement. Do the creaks and the bones now at 34 sometimes make you think otherwise?
At times, I suppose you do, but I've been a bit lucky, I suppose. I've kept myself reasonably fit over my career. I had a back operation a few years ago, which is one of those things, but since then I've been reasonably injury-free. So I'm not like a bowler who's pounding in day after day, hurting knees, ankles, backs, all those sort of things. Being a batsman is slightly easier on the body, so I don't get quite as many creaks as, say, a 34-year-old bowler would.
Finally, to wrap it up and let you go, a fearless prediction. What's the series going to be?
I don't really want to give a scoreline. I've always believed that as long as we win more Test matches than them, I'll be happy. So I'll be happy with 3-2. 4-1 would be even better. So I said, I think we've got the side to win this series, with or without Shane Warne. It'd be nice to have Warney around because he's such a great bowler, but I think we've got the players to do it. Our batting was great in Pakistan. We've got to make sure we keep that going. If we can make the runs, I'm sure we've got the bowlers to get them out.
Yes, definitely one of the best captains we've ever had, if not the best. We'll be back with more Cricket Show after the break.
You want it, you've got it. Tank World's pre-Christmas clearance sale is on this Saturday and Sunday only. Up to 50% off tanks, plus up to 30% off Davy pumps. Go and get it. This Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, it was a hand-me-down from my brother. It was a one with black tape all over it, and my brother had given it to me, or he had used it in one of these games, and I got the hand-me-down from him. So it was pretty hard to hold on to, but we got by.
I think it was an all-pro, which I ended up breaking when I got out playing in the street, and I threw it and hit a Stobie pole and broke in half.
Yeah, a couple of sawn off tree stumps and things like that, but nothing too special.
Favourite food?
I'm partial to curry.
Thai food, anything, a bit of spice in it.
Usually ice cream.
What's been your best cricket moment?
Winning the one-day series, probably with Australia last year against South Africa.
Test match, the one test match, and scoring a Shield 100.
Probably representing the Australian 11 game against West Indies, but at the same time, it's probably one of my worst memories because I lasted about 5 overs before I did my batting. So.
How would people describe your karaoke skills?
Very, very ordinary indeed.
After a few beers, not bad.
Yeah, I'm not bad on the harmonica, but don't know about my singing.
And Michael Bevan, that's the tip. He would be the karaoke king of Australian cricket.
Well, it's not often an umpire is willing to admit he has made a mistake, let alone a test umpire. Well, our own Australian international umpire, Daryl Hare, has done just that. Paul Lockyer has more.
No one else in the history of Test cricket has achieved 11,000 runs.
Alan Border's batting milestone is remembered as a highlight of the Adelaide Test against South Africa 5 years ago. Umpire Daryl Hare recalls the match as his worst performance ever. He says in his new book, 2 decisions involving South African batsmen were abysmal. The first, the dismissal of Andrew Hudson.
Oh dear, he's well forward. Well, that's a courageous decision from umpire Hare.
I'd have to admit that probably 99 times out of 100 in previous decisions I would have said no. And I found myself giving him out, which was borderline. The ball may or may not have hit the stumps, but borderline's not good enough as an umpire.
Worse was to come. Dave Richardson's dismissal.
Well, I don't know. Dear, oh dear, the ball cutting the wrong way, and umpire Daryl Hare having one of those days, I feel.
He wouldn't have hit another set of stumps, and I still gave him out. And I look back on those 2 decisions, and I think if I ever get to the stage where I make 2 decisions as poor as that again on the world stage, well, it might be time to hang up the hat and counter.
Daryl Hare was castigated in South Africa for those decisions, but he was no stranger to controversy. A year before, he had attracted hometown criticism in a test match against the West Indies, when an Australian run chase ended 2 runs short with a caught-behind decision against Craig McDermott.
Oh, he's tried to avoid it, it's hit the bat, and he's gone!
Hare now concedes, after looking at different camera angles, that the ball may have hit the peak of McDermott's helmet.
Again, when you analyse it, it doesn't look good from one side, but from where I had to stand and see it, and what I saw and heard, I was happy with it.
So despite the doubts you have from this angle that you saw afterwards, you have no doubt about the decision you made on the day?
I think it was probably a better one than the LBW on Richardson.
Sure he's calling him for throwing. I hope it's not, but I've got a terrible gut feeling.
I tell you, Bill, having looked at that, there is absolutely no doubt that he's called him for throwing.
There are no lingering doubts in umpire Hare's mind about this decision. No balling Sri Lankan bowler Murali Dhuran for throwing on Boxing Day at the MCG 3 years ago.
My conscience is clear on what happened on that day, and it remains clear to this day.
But it's a question of having the arm bent and then straightening it
in the fraction of a second before the ball leaves the bowler's hand.
Daryl Hare called Murali Dhuran 7 times before he was switched to bowl from the other end, the umpire placing himself in the centre of a storm that engulfed world cricket and triggered a hate campaign from Sri Lankan supporters.
I probably wasn't prepared for the type of backlash that you know, was possible from that type of incident.
Headlines in all the newspapers and in all sections of the media.
Far from being shaken by the criticism, Daryl Hare now reveals that after a one-day match in Perth later that summer, he and fellow umpire Peter Parker raised concerns about 2 other Sri Lankan bowlers. One was Dharmasena. The other was Kalpage.
Basically the same, an infringement of law 24 about straightening the arm while in the bowling action, and I thought it was reasonably clear on videotape that I watched, but I thought as the process had been there to make the report, it should have been done.
But according to Hare, the umpires were urged to back off by the authorities, and that the then Chief Executive Officer of the Australian Cricket Board, Graham Halbish, warned that they might otherwise find themselves between a rock and a hard place.
The exact words that we used, and I didn't like the words at the time. I still don't like them, and I don't like the way that they were used to influence umpires.
For the first time since that summer when Daryl Hare's actions against Murali Dhuran created such a stir, the umpire may again find himself officiating in games involving Sri Lanka in the forthcoming World Series. Since he cited the spinner for throwing, Murali Dhuran has gone on to become one of Sri Lanka's chief wicket takers. That doesn't faze Daryl Hare, who says he'll adopt the same approach he took at the MCG on that day. Call it as he sees it.
What do you think will be going through his mind if he's coming into bowl with you alongside him?
I have no idea. I would like to think that he wouldn't have any preconceptions either, and if that eventuates, if I do have a game involving Sri Lanka, as I say, that will be a ball-by-ball adjudication on everything, not just one particular law.
Yes, he's a very good umpire, Daryl Hare, and isn't it a tough job they have to do day in, day out? We'll be back with more of the Cricket Show after the break.
To hook or not to hook? This is a question that has plagued many of the great players of the game. Some like to play it as many times as they can in an innings, like Mark Taylor, whereas Steve Waugh doesn't. There's no doubt it's a dangerous shot, but if you can play it well, you're going to score a lot of runs.
There it goes again, the pull shot.
When the bowler pitches short and strays towards leg, it's the batsman's opportunity to get inside the line and hook. Getting into the correct position quickly is paramount. We want to move onto our back foot with a decisive step back and across, and get our head and eyes inside the line of the ball. This ensures that if we miss the ball, it will pass safely through to the keeper, rather than cracking you in the scon. As with most shots we play in cricket, we should try and keep the ball on the ground, so we need to roll our wrists over the ball as we hit it. A good way to practice the shot is to get someone to throw a tennis ball to you. Once you feel comfortable with this, put the necessary protective equipment on and get real cricket balls thrown to you, always keeping in mind the most important thing, and that is to keep your head and eyes inside the line of the ball and to keep the ball on the ground by rolling your wrists. So happy hooking.
Let's now take a look at other cricket going on internationally around the world, and 2 other showdowns actually begin today. Pakistan will play their first one-day international against Zimbabwe in Gujranwala. The home side will be definitely eager to atone for its whitewash against the Australians earlier this month. That's the Pakistan versus Zimbabwe, and the West Indies will continue their build-up before the first test against the South Africans. The Windies are playing a 4-day game against Free State in Bloemfontein, and the first test begins next Thursday in Johannesburg between South Africa and the West Indies. And on the subject of South African cricket, big all-rounder Brian McMillan has announced he's retiring from the international arena. McMillan, who's caused our cricketers headaches on more than one occasion, said he's thought long and hard about the decision and it's time to give the game away. McMillan, who turns 35 next month, he's had almost 2,000 runs, 75 wickets, and he's taken 49 catches during a 38 Test match career. So it's been a great effort from Brian McMillan, and I'm sure he'll be sadly missed by that South African side. Well, that's about all we have time for today on The Cricket Show. Make sure you join us tomorrow. We'll be hearing from Merv Hughes and also Zoe Goss, and that man who's a legend in his own mind, Warwick Todd. Look forward to your company then.